The North-South Hemisphere questioned the question of whether or not the orientation of the low pan, low Shui should be reversed when applied to the Southern Hemisphere has been thrown back and forth for years, so let's consider the excellent arguments put forward in Qi Concepts at the http://www. Dragon's Breath. Couk Feng Shui originated in China between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. China is a vast country, however its placement is entirely in the northern hemisphere. No part is closer than 18 degrees north of the equator. There is neither authentic historical data, nor are there any records regarding the application of Feng Shui theory in the southern hemisphere. Evidence simply does not exist, so unfortunately we have to debate the question, postulate our theories and make our own decision on what we feel comfortable with. Certainly if you live close to the equator, you need to be aware of the difference between the geographical equator and the magnetic equator, as I have already pointed out in the previous section. The difference can be quite considerable, as much as 12th of latitude, that's 720 nautical miles or 828 statute if you like. Isogonics charts show the magnetic flux. It can range from 0 degrees to 30 degrees. Interestingly, the large area over China has no magnetic variation. This diagram is only to illustrate the variation in flux. To see a good example of an isogonics chart, visit the British Geological Society website. If you look at the Earth, you can see that the Earth's axis is inclined at angle of 23.5 to the plane of its orbit around the Sun. This is called the ecliptic. It maintains this tilt pointing rigidly and parallel to the same point in space towards the star Polaris. If the angle of the Earth's axis remained perpendicular to the plane of the Sun, then the Sun would be overhead at the equator at all times. This is not the case, however, and we are stuck with it the way it is. The Earth orbits the Sun in 365 days. The Sun's apparent motion crosses to the north side of the equator for around 6 months, peaking during the summer solstice on the 21st of June, over the Tropic of Cancer, where it reaches its maximum declination north around 23 north. It then starts to decline and crosses to the southern side of the equator, crossing the point of Libra around the 21st of September. It continues its loop south until it is over Capricorn around December 22nd, the winter solstice, where it is at its lowest west point. Reversed for the S hemisphere, it should be clear from this now how the seasons are formed. The angular distance of the Sun north or south of the equator. From this model, we can see that most people in China lived above the 22nd parallel of north latitude. This means that their view of the Sun, from Qinghai Province, north-central China for instance, on the 21st of June would have been rising east-northeasterly approximately 064? True, 24 degrees NV. The Sun would traverse the sky, reaching its maximum altitude of 74? At midday, when it bears due south, and the proceeds across the sky westward, where it sets west-northwest around 290? True, 16 degrees NFW. Now if we consider the fact that the earliest school of Feng Shui was formed School Feng Shui, which supposedly predates the compass by at least 2,000 years and was concerned with the topography of the landscape using the 4 celestial animals configuration, we can see a pattern forming. We have in Chinese form school an arrangement naturally looking towards the midday sun, south, our biggest source of energy and the ultimate yang. The source of our warmth and light. This is the phoenix to the front, red/orange. Its element is fire. Like the rising and setting of the Sunday, it is only natural that this would be the direction for the yang rooms of a home to face. These would be the rooms that are most active and used during the day. They would be the most open rooms with the largest windows: the entrance hall, living room, family room, conservatory, courtyard, sun deck. The turtle is to the north at the back of us, providing protection. Blue/black/yin, cold and dark like the long far northern nights. The black turtle historically represents the shady side of the hill. It makes sense that this direction with the least light, smallest windows and being the most yin should be considered the most suitable for the yin rooms of the house, such as the bedrooms, toilets, bathrooms, storerooms. The azure, green dragon, the color of the eastern plains and the China Sea, is to the left, east and the rising sun. Its wood element is expansive and represents the growth of spring and the dawn of each new morning. This area is conducive to a kitchen being yang but lesser yang than the south and good for breakfast room. If there is a garden, then this is an area for a vegetable plot or an orchard, especially if they can be orientated to a southerly aspect. The white tiger to the right, west, towards the snowy peaks of the Himalayas and the setting sun day. Its metal element is representative of contraction and autumn. It is yin, feminine, conserving and protecting by nature. This is also a good area for children's bedrooms and nursery, especially for the youngest daughter. It is relatively easy to see how and why the ancient Chinese configured their homes to face in these directions. This configuration is just as relative today to homes in the northern hemisphere as it is 5,000 years ago in China. If we had the option to build our perfect home, this would be the configuration we would be most likely to choose, for sure. The energy pattern and qualities of the sun's apparent motion in the northern hemisphere as viewed down on the North Pole is clockwise. Likewise, the major ocean currents and major air streams, the trade winds and monsoons circulate in a clockwise direction. The World Climatic Chart for July in the Admiralty sailing directions in P136 is an excellent illustration. In harmony with the laws of nature, and therefore balance, the yin and yang. The opposite exists in the southern hemisphere. Although the sun will still rise in the east, the sun's apparent motion when viewed from the southern hemisphere is anti-clockwise. The major currents and air streams are anti-clockwise. The sun, the major source of energy, is to the north and the cold dark and shadows lie to the south. The four seasons are not reverse type, autumn, summer, spring, winter as often stated, but complement their opposites: spring and autumn, summer and winter, autumn and spring, winter and summer. The wave patterns are cyclical, alternating but equal in frequency and amplitude, providing a dynamic balance and overall harmony. Common sense dictates that you would not through choice build a home facing the cold yin south, the shadow side of the hill in the southern hemisphere. There are a number of other very powerful phenomena and examples in nature that reinforce the idea that the orientations are reversed in the southern hemisphere, and we should be observant of our surroundings and take notice of and listen to nature and our environment after. Isn't that what Feng Shui is all about? The Earth's rotation when viewed from above the North Pole is clockwise. The Earth's rotation when viewed from above the South Pole is anti-clockwise. The Coriolis force reverses from one hemisphere to another. The ocean currents change their direction of flow when they cross the equator. Weather systems, tornadoes and storms revolve in opposite directions in each hemisphere. The trade winds change their circulation on crossing the equator from one hemisphere to another. The huge upper air masses warm and expand and rise upward over the equator, diverge in a direction towards the poles. Yang, the huge upper air masses get cold, heavy and sink, converging on the poles. Yin. The four seasons are opposite. Plants and trees lean towards the sun, the source of all energy, the ultimate yang. The further north or south you travel as you approach the poles, the speed of the Earth's rotation slows. Yin. The nearer you approach the equator, the faster the rotation goes. Yang. The further north or south you travel as you approach the poles, the Earth grows colder, darker, stiller. Yin. The nearer you approach the equator, the brighter, warmer, livelier, lusher and more animate, more yang. Feng Shui Qi Concepts is available from the Pot and Grass Company.